Hey, welcome to Steps to Plant. My name is Mike. I'm the founding pastor of Focus Church. I also have the privilege of being on the CMN field-based team. And I just wanted to take a couple minutes and talk to you about developing your launch day message. First of all, congratulations. Man, planting a church is a big deal. And planting a church during this season is huge. And I just want to say, man, we're with you. I'm believing for God's best for you. And as you look into your launch day, I want to kind of give you three things that I think are required. Three things that I think you should consider when preparing your launch day message. And I can go back to when we planted our church, and there are some things that I wish I would have learned. And so I'm going to share with you some of the things that I didn't do and some of the things that I did do. And there are three things that I think you need to do in order to prepare a great launch day message. You have to know that this is the first time everyone's going to interact with your church from like a Sunday morning service perspective. And so there's a lot of moving pieces going, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of nerves, a lot of adrenaline, a lot of details. Let me just reassure you with this. Your first Sunday is not your last Sunday. And to be honest, your first Sunday more than likely won't be your best Sunday, but it's somewhere where you started. It's the best thing to build upon. I remember our first Sunday, man, I was so nervous. You know, everyone's coming in. We had sent out a mailer. We had done all the advertising, built the logo, built the website, passed out flyers, done everything that we could. And we get to this point to where I felt like I had neglected the message because I was working so hard on launch Sunday. Let me encourage you not to do that, but instead really seek the Lord, really pray about what the first thing is that you're going to share. You have the ability to set culture and to set vision and to set the trajectory of your church with one sermon, with one message, and people are coming expecting. And I think that there needs to be three things. There needs to be three things that every launch day sermon has. First of all, you need to introduce them to yourself. Don't neglect telling them about who you are. Everyone there needs to be treated as a first-time guest. Everyone is a first-time guest. And so make sure you have a high-quality photo of your family on the screen. I would even bring your family up onto the stage. You don't have to do this every Sunday, but I think it's important that during the first Sunday of a launch that you would introduce them to who you are. Make sure you include some of the things about yourself, what you guys like to do, how passionate you are about the city. Introduce them to you. To be honest, they're coming really to meet the pastor. They want to know, who are we going to sit under? Who are we going to serve under? Who is leading this thing? And it's important that they get a real view of who your family is. Don't take yourself too seriously. Be real lighthearted with it. Let them know that you're a real human being. Don't come to the pulpit over polished and produced and reading from such a tight manuscript that you couldn't deviate just a little bit to laugh and to smile. I have to remind myself to smile all the time, even to this day, years after launching. I have to remind myself that, man, Sunday comes every 6 days, and it's no need to really take yourself too seriously. And so introduce them to who you are. Take some time, take a good chunk of time to tell them your story and your testimony, and weave that in every single Sunday, especially during the early days as many guests are coming. People want to know who you are and be the real you, not the fake you, and just be as genuine as you possibly can and be as real. So the first thing is to introduce them to who you are and who your family is. The second thing is this: introduce them to the church. You might be surprised, but they're not going to know what the vision is on the first Sunday. And so you need to set a clear, tangible path with vision, culture, expectation. What are they going to expect when they come to your church? What can they expect? How long is the service going to be? What is your mission? What is your vision? And if you don't have that yet, I would encourage you to join us for a launch event to establish that, or to begin to create that vision, something that is so simple but yet so profound that it's like, man, I've met the pastor on day one. I got to know where the church is going and what the church is doing and what the church is all about. So it's really important. We always say this, our church was created, we exist so that people experience life change through Christ. That's what we always say, life change through Christ. So whether you're here for the first time, I always say this every Sunday, or you're here for the last time, we want you to experience the life-changing power of Jesus Christ. Whatever it is for you, whatever phrase or mantra or vision statement you have, you want to make sure that you communicate that. And I would even over-communicate that, how that expresses itself on launch Sunday. And so, hey, welcome to church. Here's who I am. Also, I want to share with you a little bit about our church. We started this church with this in mind, with you in mind. Whatever it is that you have to say, I would really introduce them to yourself, then introduce them to the church. And the last thing, which I think is the most important thing of all, if you don't do the first two, it's not a deal breaker. It would be my encouragement to you, but the last thing that you need to do, you must do, is introduce them to Jesus. The chances of people coming to this church hungry and excited, but yet nervous and probably pre-Christian or have yet to experience Jesus is high on the first Sunday. So you need to introduce them to Jesus. Introduce them to the saving power of Jesus Christ. Introduce them to the one who died for their sins. Introduce them to Jesus. Preach the gospel on Launch Sunday. I would encourage you to have a very gospel-oriented message, a message that is designed to point people to the reason that your church exists, a message that's designed to give hope to the hopeless, a message that's designed to give encouragement. Let's not spend Launch Sunday talking about how bad the church is or how the Church of America is in decline, but let's spend our first Sunday encouraging people to find the hope that comes through Jesus. Let them leave on that Launch Sunday having met you, having learned about the church, but ultimately having found Jesus as their personal Lord and Savior. I would encourage you to be bold in preaching the gospel on Launch Sunday, because chances are some of them might not ever make it back. Some of them, that might be the only time that they're ever introduced to Jesus. So introduce them to you, introduce them to the church, and ultimately, most importantly, introduce them to Jesus on Launch Sunday.